And in wrestling right here, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. It ain't no doubt. It ain't no doubt. Flair, bring that old cashmere coat out here.
Can't help it that I'm custom made. I can't help it that I look good, smell good, can dance all night long.
Well, welcome to a little late day special, midday sports with Ron and Lunch Crew. I got a special guest, Cool McCain of Cool Eagles Elite and Play Callers. I'm sorry about that. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
But yeah, man, let's get into it, man. How did you get into like podcasting, man?
So I've been talking sports, playing sports, all that since I was a chat. But say about 4 years ago, me and one of my partners kind of set up a little thing and started doing it, but it didn't really work out because we were in different places. This was pre-COVID, so it wasn't as many things available. Then I actually went on to a podcast that a couple of friends of mine were doing, and they're doing kind of all different things. I didn't really want to be associated with everything that was a part of the show, but I did, do a couple with them. Then a little bit before COVID, we started to get a lot more things to help with doing podcasts. I was able to actually link back up with my guy, and is actually my co-host from Play Callers. We were able to kind of get things moving, man. But sports has been a part of my life since I was a kid, man. That's I stayed up with late watching Monday Night Football, NBA Finals, no matter who was playing. You know what I'm saying? Not as much baseball, but some baseball, little hockey. It's sports, man. Sports has always been my thing.
Since you're an Eagle fan, what is the rebuild? I'm not a rebuild, but what kind of pieces would you like to see y'all grab in the draft?
So definitely a corner. I want a defensive edge rusher every year. I'd love to grab a guy to groom at the safety position. Um, Always wide receivers, right? Because I'm not that sold on Quez Watkins, so I'd like to have a more solid number 3 wide receiver. Um, Always offensive line. You know, quarterback, you can always, not quarterback, but running back, you can always give that a hit. So, those are the things for me, man. Cornerback, safety, maybe linebacker, always a defensive edge. I want one of those every year. It's one position on the offensive line. Let's just draft one every year. You know,
What about like another tight end? You think you're good at the tight end with Dallas Goddard and the
I'm
backups
confident.
after him?
Yeah, I'm confident at the tight end position. I don't have an issue at the tight end position. It's one of our positions I feel like we had the most depth at.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think the offense is going to look any different with the departure of your offensive coordinator? You think it's still going to be the same system for the most part?
I think it depends on who gets the job. The rumor candidate is internal, but I'm not going to speculate until we actually have who we have. But I'll say I just want someone who's not going to be afraid to properly use Hurts, the running game, and the passing attack, and use things in the proper context, right? The short running game, we need a different running back for that. So being that that on those situations, I like the sneaks, the small passes, switching up sometimes with the guys we have. But I think you got to open it up more in the passing game. You have to be able to make plays in the passing game and not be scared to take shots, but understand when to take shots. And that's where I think it's going to be tricky because it's all going to depend on who comes in, their connections to Hurts, their connections to the previous offense. I don't think you want to change it completely because he's had so much success this year in it. But at the same time, you don't want someone else to come in and do exactly the same thing because that's ultimately one of the reasons that we're not sitting here talking about how we're Super Bowl champs. So it's a balancing act.
I just felt like y'all got away from what got you there.
Absolutely.
I feel like a couple times y'all should have rushed forward. You know what I mean? I feel like
absolutely.
I would even brought Maddox down a little bit. You know what I mean? With like a safety blitz. But But you gotta make his mind. You gotta make that clock, that eternal clock, move in his mind to make him make mistakes. If that makes sense,
Well,
you can't give him too much time.
yeah. Well, the problem is the defensive coordinator was an ignoramus. So,
Mm-hmm.
best move we made was getting rid of him. You
How
can
do
go
you feel
back.
like he's gonna do as the head man?
He'll do better as the head coach as he will as a coordinator because he can delegate everything to other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main job of a real head coach, right? You got some of these guys that try to be coordinators as well. It doesn't normally work out as well for the guys who try to do both. Play your part. Your part is to delegate everything. You bring in a coordinator to call plays for offense and defense. Whatever side of the ball is your specialty, yeah, you might have a little bit more input, but your job is for the entire team to be good. So I think that's something he may be better at than he ever was as a coordinator.
And
Because
I feel like you know what I mean. When you already know, like if you already know in the back of your head, I'm about to become a head coach, and I'm playing the Super Bowl, so it really doesn't matter. That's why I felt like with his play calling, I'm already good. You know what I mean? My money's already there. You know what I mean? It's like somebody know they getting a a tax refund, some crazy bread back. You know what I mean? So they already got in the head. I could spend right now. I could really chill out. You know what I mean? I feel like he didn't really call a real great game plan because he already knew he's already set. You know what I mean? I felt like that was not his best play calling.
Well, I'll say this for the offense for Steichen, absolutely, but for the ignoramus on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of bad play calling all year. If
Mm-hmm.
you go back and watch episodes of my Eagles of the Week podcast, I talked about a lot of weeks. This is a guy that I didn't trust. The main concern was the defense not being able to make plays when they needed to, based on what was called. And I mean, there are times where your defense can say, "We're going to step up anyway," because we had a talent to outplay the foolishness that's going on around us. But there are times where, hey man, you can't out you can't overcome coaching always. And I
No.
think we just got to one of those points where you couldn't overcome coaching on the defensive side of the ball. A lot of poor play calls, a lot of soft zones are always played, a lot of open areas in the defense. You saw that they were having trouble, struggling a little bit with the field. Why not adjust the play calling to that? No adjustments.
Hey,
Same thing.
cool. But the field goal. If it was you, would you try to go for it? Because I feel like that's what lost y'all the game. That field goal, I would went for it.
Absolutely, I would have went for it. What is the point in getting all the way to the Super Bowl and then saying, "Oh, I'm going to kick a field goal"? First of all, the problem was third down. The problem
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even fourth down. The problem was third down. You don't
Yeah.
throw the ball to the smallest offensive player on the field,
Mm-hmm.
third and 9,
Mm-hmm.
um, wide open. Now, if you're doing a screen pass, okay, but you put in one-on-one and flat. Kenneth Gainwell is the smallest guy as far as height and as far as size on the offense. That's the guy that you get a ball to in 39. That was a poor play from the beginning. Obviously, he was going to be open because you know you can make an open field tackle on him. And that's what happened. We still had like 4 or 5 yards to go. No testicular fortitude by the offensive coordinator and the head coach because he didn't override the play. We kicked the field goal. That was the last time we ever led in the game. And guess what happened? We lost because of that.
Because
But there were so many other things as well.
this Jalen Hurts on the fourth down and inches is just magical, right? So we're seeing that the league is trying to stop y'all magical play, that QB sneak with the lineman pushing behind them. They're trying to stop that, but y'all was really undefeated. You know what I mean? It was the stats were crazy for y'all in 4th and 1, which I find is crazy for not to go for it.
Well, it was like 4. So they wouldn't have been
4?
able to, they wouldn't have been able to do that. But you still got Hurts, you still got the running game, you still got the receivers that you have, the tight ends that you have. You could have max protect, you know what I'm saying, and went for it. You didn't need a running back because you probably weren't going to run the ball in this situation, or you're going to do it with Hurts. So max protect, throw your receivers out there, and your tight ends see who can make a play. I mean, that would have been more successful or something that would have worked better than what we ended up doing. And then on the quarterback sneak, man, I'm gonna be real with you, man. This man deadlifts over 600 pounds.
Yeah.
This man legs are like tree trunks. Whether they pushing him or not, he's getting it on 4th and 1.
Yeah.
If there's a yard or less that's needed, he's getting that regardless of if they're pushing him or not. That's just done because it's allowed to happen. You take it away, it doesn't matter. Bosa tried to get him down in the end zone for a sack. He couldn't because his legs are just too strong. You know?
And I feel like, you know what I mean, just overall his improvements, you know, I talk about a lot. This man should have been MVP easily, man. Easily. I feel like it was a robbery I think this is the worst robbery I've seen since RG3 Heisman. When Honey Badger should have won it. Like this is it was a big robbery, man. In sports for MVPs and seasonal records.
It's Mahomes, man. And the league wants him to be that guy. One of those things is you're getting the MVPs, you're getting Super Bowls. That's how you become the face of the league. I mean, it's pretty clear that that's who they want as the face of the league. So, the individual awards, he should have got it. I mean, the biggest argument you can make for him was how the team looked without him. Same personnel, him not in the game, the difference in how well the team looked. But hey, man, when the league has already made a decision on who they want, they're able to get the media to hop on board with it. And honestly, for me, the most disrespectful thing was he got one vote.
Yeah, I never seen that. I never seen nothing like that.
Vote. He got as many votes as Josh Allen. Really? You mean to tell me Josh Allen played anywhere near his level this year? That was the disrespectful part. I didn't expect him to win because you're not going to beat Mahomes when they already have the narrative that they want him to win. Mm-hmm. But you at least should have got votes. That's disrespectful.
I just feel like Josh Allen, right? I feel like, of course, I'm a Patriot fan, but we clearly could see without Brian Daboll, that offense, downgraded. You know what I mean? It didn't look like himself, itself. Yeah. Easily. The same, it was not the same production. But I feel like Josh Allen, should have even been in that running. I feel like he didn't do enough to me. I think Joe Burrow had a better year, in my opinion, than Josh Allen.
I think Herbert and Burrow had better years because Herbert did a lot without his top receivers. So I think they both had much better seasons than Allen. But you know how that goes, man. It's who they want. It's the narrative.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I feel like, man, he didn't get enough respect because I seen the growth in Jalen Hurts from Alabama when that throwing motion was funky, man. It was funky at best. The spiral looked better, with getting, the starts, quality starts, and getting the quarterback outside in the offseason, putting that work in, which I feel like he's a more complete quarterback. I think he should be MVP one of these, one of these NFL seasons. I feel like he's definitely got the tools to do it. You know what I mean? And I don't like people putting him in the box with Lamar Jackson. I don't like that comparison. I don't like that comparison.
I mean, personally, I don't have a problem with it. When I say it, I say Lamar Jackson, that's a better thrower. Mm-hmm. That's what I, say. I don't have a problem with it because he can run. Mm-hmm. He's not at a point where he has to run. Like, he's not relegated to run all the time. There are times where, you want him to take off. But I like the fact that he can't sit in the pocket and read. He has shown good touch for the most part on the deep balls, mid balls. He makes reads. He doesn't just look at one receiver and take off. So I like that he's developing those things. But the way that he can run the ball, there's going to be the comparison. So, I mean, I'm fine with it. But like you said, there is the difference for me, the difference is the throwing. He's a much more polished thrower at this point in his career than Lamar Jackson was. And I feel like he's a more polished thrower right now than Lamar Jackson is right now. Now, Lamar Jackson has been stuck in trashy systems. Mm-hmm. So that stunts your growth when you're already a dual threat and you don't have guys that help you kind of break out of that and become more of a pocket passer. Mm-hmm. So that's a concern. The reason Lamar Jackson is always hurt is because he has to be the whole offense. Mm-hmm. He's doing almost darn near everything besides throwing the ball up and then going to catch it himself. Mm-hmm. So at some point you have to put actual guys that can help him besides Mark Andrews. Like, you go out, you draft wide receivers, they're not successful. That doesn't mean you stop drafting wide receivers. That means you start realizing that the process you've used doesn't work. Mm-hmm. I think if we get Lamar the talent around him, then we see what it is. If it's still the same Lamar Jackson, then it's Lamar Jackson. But if you put the talent around him and he's playing better, then maybe he is in the same category as Jalen Hurts. And there's not a problem. It's just that he's been saddled with poor talent and a trashy offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of offensive coordinator they're going to grab for him. But, I feel like, you got to pay him. Somebody's going to pay him.
Yeah.
So either you're going to give him that 45 for this year and, you know what I mean, it's not realistic for you to franchise him twice. I don't think they're gonna do that. So, and I hate the narrative of them talk, you know what I mean, bad talking them about not having an agent. That's smart business. You know, these athletes got to pay them agents when you can easily get a lawyer to read the contract for you. like these agents are getting filthy rich, a good percentage of the, you know what I mean, the contract. So, you know what I mean, it's easier for you to get a lawyer to read the contract. What is this? What is that? Break it down for you and you go from there.
Yeah, and Richard Sherman did the same thing. He represented himself.
Mm-hmm.
At least in the latter part of his career, I know for sure. And the thing is, it's smart because, like you said, I mean, I don't have to give this person X percent. So if I really wanted this number, if I don't have to give this person this percent to negotiate my contract for me, I can settle a little bit more because there's less that I have to pay.
Yeah.
I think it shows a lot of intelligence on his part and understanding and doing the research and the work. You know, his mom's, of course, been helping him as well.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that, I think it takes a lot of, it takes a lot of cojones too, to say, hey, I'm gonna go do this on my own. I'm not gonna do the route that most people do. I'm gonna represent myself. I know what I want. I know what I need. I know the parts I need someone to assist me with, and I'm gonna get somebody for that. But I'm gonna represent myself, and I'm gonna keep that money.
Yeah, no doubt. But man, how do you feel about this? You know what I mean? I was watching the Mav game last night. You know what I mean? Evening. I just don't think this is a long-term fit because you can't hide two players. You know what I mean? Both of them are liabilities on defense. All right, what's your feelings about that, Luka and Kyrie?
I said when the trade was made that this is not a matchup that's going to work.
Yeah.
You just made the main 2 points. Neither one of them play defense, and both of them want to be alpha dogs. It's cool right now because they win a couple of games. It's the honeymoon phase. Everybody's all good. Kyrie, the cancer, Irving is going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Not there quite yet, but he's coming. Unfortunately, but that's what he's shown us everywhere he's been. This is Luka team. Kyrie's not going to be happy with that long term. There's going to come a point where they're going to start butting heads over who's getting the most shine, who's getting the most shots, who's getting the ball the most. And there's only so much you can play them one without the other. So there's going to be a lot of time you have to play them together. And as you said, you have those two guys out on the floor. It's pretty much open season for the other guards.
Right? Open season.
There's not a lot of defense being played. And as we saw last night, Vanderbilt was picking Luka pocket left and right.
And cool. You know, you've been watching basketball a long while.
Mm-hmm.
This Jared Vanderbilt, I just don't understand why they just didn't want him with Minnesota because I watched the game last night. They needed some energy. They needed some energy, Minnesota. This guy is contagious, man. Great rebounder.
They were so busy trying to get rid of Byron Russell, that they let that piece walk out the door with him. LA was very smart in picking it up. He reminds me of a longer Ron Artest, right? He gets it done. Like, I mean, obviously, Ron's a little more wild, but just the way he play on the actual court, he just everywhere. You know, if there's a big play, he's involved, right? And you want guys like that. But Minnesota, also, I think a lot of the Anthony Edwards stuff, right? It's Anthony Edwards' team, right? So kind of some of those other guys that could possibly get to shine over him, you kind of move, and not necessarily that Anthony Edwards requested that or wanted that in any way, but these organizations look at that guy as their golden boy. And we got to make sure that the golden boy is set up so that he can make our franchise important for X amount of years. So I think you got a little bit of that involved as well. But on the court, Vanderbilt, I mean, this is something you've seen since he was in college. He's never been a dominant scorer, but he works hard on defense. He makes the plays. He will pass the ball, very unselfish, and he's a dog on defense. And, you know, I mean, everybody needs that.
4 steals.
And I saw 3 of them in like a 10-minute span on Luka.
Like, and I hate the comparison of Luka, Baby Bird. They try to make him the next golden white lamb, but
that's disrespectful to Larry Bird.
You know what I mean? But it's a lot of holes in his game. I feel like he's doesn't want to put the work in to complete, man. Like, and we seen that nice switch Darwinham and the players put together, which that's what I want out of AD, to be more aggressive, post up, fadeaway jumpers in that post. Like, stop trying to be a shooting guard. Go out in that post and get nasty. And I just feel like, you know what I mean, that switch right there, Luka is too small, but I feel like that's not gonna work. And this Westbrook, he got his way, and it's the same way, you know what I mean, the same player at the Clippers, 7 turnovers. You know what I mean? I don't know why. I just feel like Westbrook had his season, right? I just feel like the league doesn't, you know what I mean? He just have nothing to give the league or a team. Am I wrong to say that?
So my take on Westbrook is a little different from most. Mm-hmm. Number one, you know who Westbrook is. He's going to turn the ball over, right? The difference between the Lakers and the Clippers is he's the guy in LA.
Yeah.
Which means he has the ball. Like, people wanted to debate me before the game, for his first game, and all. They got other guys that want the ball, and Paul George and Kawhi.
No, Paul George doesn't.
They don't want to bring the ball up. They want to get the ball, take 1 or 2 dribbles, and then shoot or pass. Yeah. Yeah. They don't want to be responsible for being the main ball handler, for being the distributor, right? Westbrook, he does make some bad reads, some bad plays, and he frustrates you at times. But he made some big shots for them last night, helped them stay in that game as well. He made some key passes as well. So I think a lot of times people look at the bad of Westbrook without also looking at the good. Is he an all-star guard at this point in his career?
No.
But he's a guy that, as long as you can accept, there's going to be 3 or 4 of those bad turnovers. That's who Russell Westbrook is. But he's also going to give you some points. He's going to give you some hustle. He made a nice 3 later in the game. He made some nice timely layups. You know, he looked rejuvenated, right? Like I said, the turnovers are the turnovers. If he hasn't fixed it by this point in the career, that's not going to be fixed. So as long as you're able to accept that, and I don't see the Clippers players being frustrated with it. You know, I think he's going to be fine for what they needed for the rest of this year. After that,
you think he's a 1-year rental, or you think it's going to be long term?
If there's a place he'll stay, it'll be there, because him and Paul George are pretty tight, and then him and Kawhi look like they're pretty good. As long as he's willing to sign for the right thing, I think there'll be suitors for him. If I'm the Clippers, I want to go out and get another point guard, not necessarily to replace him, but you don't want him on the floor 40 minutes a game, right, playing point guard. And the other guys that you have out there, like Nyshawn Highland, he's not a point guard. You know, they don't have another point guard on the roster. So you really want to go you honestly really need to get 2 more point guards this summer if you're the Clippers. And if you want to start Westbrook. But again, don't expect him to go out there and give you 20 points, 1 to 3 turnovers, you know, and 10 assists a game, and then 10 rebounds. That guy's not there. But if you good with a guy to give you like 15 points, you're going to have about 5 or 6 or 7 turnovers, but he's also going to give you about 8 or 9 assists, and you're okay with that, then I think he's a fine piece for you to have.
And you know what I mean, before we get a couple more topics before we get out of here. What about the Suns, man? The Sun game yesterday against the Bucks told me a lot of things. I feel like Devin Booker's a star, but he's not a superstar. Is that fair or a foul by me?
I think it's fair. I think it's fair. I mean, yeah, I think he's a star. He's a great piece, but he's not the guy. And Chris Paul, to me, never has really been the guy. He's always been a nice piece, but never the guy either. You know, so you're expecting Kevin Durant to come in and just be the alpha male. And that's going to work some nights. But the question is, who's going to play defense there? I mean, we talk about Dallas and their defense. Chris Paul don't play no defense. Devin Booker don't play no defense. Durant plays minimal defense. He'll play some, but, I mean, he's not going out there and slapping the floor at the top of the key and playing nobody hard one-on-one.
That's why I'm so mad they got rid of Mikal Bridges, which is a good 3D guy. You know what I mean? You can say what you want about him, but he brought a lot of effort on defense.
Phoenix mortgaged ability for some of their depth and some of their scoring as well as defense to go and get Durant as well as a lot of draft picks. I don't think this makes you better than my Denver Nuggets. I don't think this makes you better than Memphis. I think this makes you better than everybody else in the West, but I don't think it makes you better than those 2 teams. And I already felt like before the trade, you were probably 5th or 6th best. So you may have, gotten a little bit better, but I don't think a lot of people, they want to look at the Kevin Durant from Brooklyn when it was him and Kyrie was hurt.
That's
But
not him no more.
yeah, and I want you to also understand. I'm not saying you specifically, but the people watching, I want them to understand. You now have to share the ball with Devin Booker and Chris Paul. You now got DeAndre Ayton, who plays 1/4 of the time. He's on the court all the time, but nowhere near the effort you should get from somebody his size. So there's a lot of concerns that I think Phoenix has, and I don't think Durant is a band-aid to cover them all up. And we saw a lot of them yesterday.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I just think that's not enough, man. Um, do I think, you know what I mean, they got a chance to get out the West? No. I think it's Denver to mess up. You know what I mean? I think it's Denver's to mess up. You know what I mean? The King teams are too young, and we don't know what kind of Anthony Davis we can get on the regular. Some days he want to be Jane, some days he want to be Tarzan. It's a lot of confusion going on in the Lakers. I don't think they have enough to get out the West, but I would like to see my team make the playoffs. I think it's to be a real messed up black eye on LeBron's career if he can't get to the playoffs again. But
Yeah,
I think it's y'all. I think it's y'all's to lose. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, I think Jokic needs this to get out the West to submit himself as one of the best big men in the league to get out the West.
You know what's funny about it, man? There's a lot of people say things like that, right? Jokic, the last 2 years, as he ascended to be one of the better players in the league, he had to do so without his two co-stars.
Yeah,
his two best players been hurt. So, you're saying a guy really needs to cement himself when he's had no real help, right? I mean, when I say that, I'm not saying that he's been playing with like garbage, but guys that are, backups and fourth and fifth options and such.
Yeah.
So for what he's been able to do and where he's been able to take that team with that handicap, man, I think that says a lot about him. I don't think he needs to do anything else, especially when he wins his third MVP this year. That's only happened 2 other times in the history of the league. I think that cements a lot for what he can do. But I think for people who are always going to have some reason to try to knock someone, that's what they want. They want.
I think he's one of the best big passers I've ever seen. I give that to him. He's one of the best big men.
Yeah, if he doesn't win a championship, it's still he didn't do everything he needed to do. He didn't get out of the West. Blase. And that's a fair criticism, but you also have to highlight again all the things that he's done, and that's where I think a lot of people fall short. And when I get back to the Lakers real quick, man, the Lakers played good yesterday, right? They came back from a big deficit and won the game. But they did it against a Dallas Mavericks team where we just talked about the top 2 guards play matador defense.
Yeah.
They don't have a real solid big. Christian Wood's the closest thing they have. And I mean, he's slimmer than AD, right? You know what I'm saying? Real talk. So they don't have real bigs. And I'm not saying that that's the only reason why Davis had a good game, but I'm saying if you're gonna have a good game, if you're gonna try to swing your momentum, then this is when you're supposed to do it. When you're playing teams who don't have the competition to match up against you, that's when you're supposed to go out and dominate.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Tuesday.
Yeah.
Jared Jackson, you know what I mean? I feel like he's a good big man. Upper comer. I think they got Brandon Clark that plays hell of good defense. They got some dogs on that Memphis team where
they do.
They ain't gonna lose. Yeah, I can't even say they can't lose no 27 point lead. They lost it to Philly, but you know what I mean. But they got great guard play, and y'all gonna bring it.
Hey, they didn't do the 30-point. They didn't lose a 30-point lead to Denver the other night.
Yeah, you're right.
They sure didn't do that.
But so it's gonna be some good games. Before we get out of here, man, what's your thoughts about the XFL? You liking the product they putting out right now?
I love it. Because I didn't expect it to be NFL. I understood that it's not NFL. I liked it when it was here before, and they've made some changes, some minor tweaks now. The presentation is better. Obviously, with the Rock being involved, it's getting more, people are looking at it as more mainstream now. I just like the alternative. I like the fact that they can have guys from NFL rosters that are like practice squad players. They have the agreement where they can play for the XFL too, so they can get some more experience. You can see guys I think it's like 18 or 19 guys in the league that are former Philadelphia Eagles at one point. So you can kind of sometimes see oh yeah, I remember that dude used to play for the Eagles, or that guy used to play for whoever. Then you have some young guys, some guys who were in the league before, some guys from USFL. So I think he got a good mix of the next level down. We understand it's not NFL football. If you wanted it to be NFL football, then yeah, it sucks to you and you shouldn't watch it.
I like to
But
hear the play calling though, man. I think
yeah,
that shit's hard. To me, I feel like that's hard to hear. Oh man, check down, check. You know what I mean? I like to hear that, even to hear the OC talk with the quarterback. I feel like I'm in like watching Madden, but with real people. You know what I mean? I feel the experience, and I would like to see the XFL and the USFL merge and have it for all the marbles.
I think it's going to happen at some point down the road. If the XFL becomes more popular, I think at some point it may happen. But I also like with the XFL, the sideline reporting where they actually talking to people when things happen. The fact that they can say, "Hey, we're going to look at that play. Stop the game. We're going to go ahead and look at the play. No challenge flag needed. Plays if we're going to look at it and make sure we got the play right. If it's right, cool. If it's not, we're going to change it."
I like the less
part of
yellow
that process.
Yeah, I like the less yellow laundry too. Not crazy fouls. The referees ain't trying to be the main person. They ain't trying to be Beyonce. They know they Kelly Rowland, so they play the position and they don't want to be the guy. You know what I mean? That's why I love it. But before we get out of here, Cole, because I appreciate you, I appreciate your time coming on here. Let the people know where they can find you. What you got coming up this week?
So tomorrow night, I have the Eagles Elite Podcast. That's youtube.com/@Eagles Elite Podcast. Friday night, I'll have Play Callers Sports Talk at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow night will be 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can follow me on social media, Instagram at cool_McCain, TikTok Cool McCain, Twitter Cool McCain. Eagles Elite has all those as well, just Eagles Elite, and of course on Facebook at Cool McCain.
Before we get out of here, I gotta say one thing. Tom Brady's the great. He's the greatest. It's not Joe Onion. Also, I need my receipts right now. The Patriots making the playoffs, and then we are out of here.
That's false narrative.